Sup my dudes, Valkyrja. Today I'm on Honey Hunter World, and because he's been shown. Every time I do this, people are like, Valk, you're showing leaks. These aren't leaks because he's been shown already. We already know what he does. They already revealed him. So this is just going over the nitty-gritty that Hoyo never goes over, that I enjoy talking about, because I want to see how good Dr. Ratio is since they're giving him out for free. I haven't really looked at it. I looked at it some whenever I was skimming, but I stopped myself. And I haven't really looked at it too much. I don't know exactly his numbers. I don't know exactly what he does other than the follow-ups and what they talked about on stream. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. First off, what is he like? What extra does he get? He has high base speed, which is nice. It's like slightly higher than normal. He has pretty high attack too, so that's pretty good. Outside of that, everything looks pretty standard. He doesn't get like, he doesn't get anything crazy. So let's see. Deals damage equal to 150% Dr. Ratio's attack to a single enemy. Okay. Traces. We don't care about Eidolons. When Dr. Ratio uses his skill for every debuff on a target, his crit rate increases by 2.5%. Crit damage increases by 5%. Can stack up to 6 times. That's really damn good. When a skill is used to attack an enemy target, there's a 100% base chance to reduce the attack target's effect resistance by 10% for 2 turns. So my question on this, right? Does this apply before or after the attack? Well, it's skill, right? So yeah, the skill just okay. The skill doesn't really do the follow-up, so it just applies the resistance. It's probably after the skill actually goes through, because the attack has to hit before the effect resistance hits. So you do lose a little bit of damage on that. If I had to imagine how that works. But that's pretty good. So far, it's like he's really going to synergize super well with Topaz, because Topaz, if you have her light cone, she applies 2 different debuffs to a target immediately, meaning that he gets immediately 5% crit rate, 10% crit damage, just because Topaz and how she works. And then you pair him with like any other character that can apply debuffs, and he's able to rack that up pretty quickly. So that's pretty good. I wonder if there's any hunt light cones that can apply debuffs. We'll have to wait and see. That's Eidolons, don't really care. Deals imaginary damage equal to 240% of Dr. Ratio's attack to a single target enemy, and applies Wise Man's Folly. When Dr. Ratio attacks, our allies attack a target inflicted with Wise Man's Folly. Dr. Ratio launches his talent's follow-up attack for 1 time against a target. Everything builds around this follow-up attack on the talent, so I hope it's good. It can be triggered up to 2 times, and only affects the most recent target of his ultimate. This trigger count resets after his ultimate is used, okay? Talent. Kogito Ergo Sum. When using his skill, Dr. Ratio has a 40% fixed chance of launching a follow-up attack against a target for 1 time, dealing imaginary damage equal to 270% of Dr. Ratio's attacks. That's a pretty good multiplier. It's a pretty hefty multiplier. For each debuff the target enemy has, the fixed chance of launching follow-up attack increases by 20%. Once again, Topaz applies 2 between her actual skill and between her talent and her light cone. So it's automatically an 80% chance. The target enemy is defeated before the follow-up attack triggers. The follow-up attack will be directed at a random enemy instead. Traces. When dealing damage to a target that has 3 or more debuffs, for each debuff the target has, the damage dealt by Dr. Ratio to this target increases by 10%. Oh, so for this to trigger, you immediately get 30%, and you can go up to 50%. So you do want to stack the debuffs against the enemies. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I wonder how you could stack more with the follow-up attack-based team. Okay, so who has, like, AoE debuff application? I guess, like, Payla's going to be really good with the follow-up team. Like, the team I'm thinking of right now is going to be something like Topaz, Dr. Ratio, Payla, Fushuan. Maybe. The reason I'm going to stick Fushuan on there is because I have an E1 Fushuan. So I was able to get E1, and that's just this free crit damage and also survivability, which is really nice. So it just really depends on who can apply the most debuffs in an AoE. I know a lot of people are going to think Silverwolf, but she's all single target debuff application. So I'm like iffy on that, because you do definitely want to do AoE debuffs. You want to try to apply as many as possible so you have more target selection. I do think that AoE debuff appliers are going to be very important. So next up, his technique, Impair. After he creates a special dimension and taunts nearby enemies after ending battle with enemies in a special dimension, holy English. There's a 100% base chance to reduce each enemy's target by 15% for 2 turns. Or each enemy's target speed by 15% for 2 turns, only 1 dimension. So it's like a worse welt Ultimate Welt is a good option. I didn't think about Welt. Welt's a pretty damn good option, isn't he? Welt can apply... Yeah, Welt can apply imprisonment. He can apply slows. Welt does a lot, actually. I'll have to look into it. I'll have to see. Okay, so traces, he has attack, crit rate, and defense. That's a really weird one on a hunt character. I was expecting speed because he's hunt. But we already read these, but let's read them again. Skill used to attack an enemy. There's a 100% base chance that this is a really, really strong one. Effect resistance reduction is really, really powerful for just like being able to do a ton of damage, because it just are being able to apply effect hit rates or effects. So effect resistance is really, really powerful in the way the effect application like formula works out. Any effect resistance reduction is really, really good. So that's nice. That's super nice for like just consistently applying debuffs. For every debuff the target has. Yeah, I already read that one. That one's really, really good. When dealing damage to a target that has 3 or more debuffs, for each debuff the target has, the damage double attack ratio increases. Yeah, we read that one too. That one's also really good. So, all in all, like, the defense trace is weird because the follow-up attack team is going to be going very fast. So, like, without even building speed, he's going to go quick. So, the defense choice is very weird, in my opinion. The maximum stackable count for the trace summonation increases by 4. This one. You can go up to 10. How are you going to apply 10 debuffs on an enemy? Other than DOT teams. And he's not running with DOT. I guess they think you're going to run him with Kafka, which Kafka can apply 2 on her own, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Immediately obtains 4 stacks of summonation. Oh, or summation. So you start with 4 stacks immediately. Wait, it's a permanent thing. Oh, it's for longer fights. It's a permanent thing. I was misreading this. For every debuff on a target, this effect can stack up to 6 times. So he just immediately gets... Oh, so his E1's insane, isn't it? That's an immediate 10% and 20% that he just gets. I wonder if it resets like the thing or if it just stacks upon itself. I don't know how that mechanic works. I have to see this actually go in game. I have to see how summation works in game. But if this is like a permanent thing, like you keep these 4 stacks of summation, that's a really strong E1. When his talent's follow-up attacks hit a target, for every debuff the target has, additionally deals imaginary damage equal to 20% Dr. Ratio's attack. Can be triggered a maximum of 4 times during each fall. This one's nuts. Okay, so if you guys know anything about Welt's ability, if they're in prison, he deals additional damage, right? That alone makes Welt do a lot of damage if you spec him into an actual damage build. So this, allowing him to hit multiple times, would actually make it so you can run swordplay on him additionally too. That's really damn good. His E2 is insane. This one's nuts. Triggering the talent addition regenerates 15 whole energy. How much is his old cost? Is it only like 90? It's 140. That's still really good though. Because if you have like a right team, you're going to trigger his follow-up every single time. And his ult will trigger twice. So that means the ult's at bare minimum generating 15 energy. 5 energy on refund. So you're looking at 35 energy back from the ult. So it changes it from a 140 cost ult to 105 essentially. And it lets you get your ult essentially a turn faster. That's really good. That's pretty damn good. Increases trigger counts for Wiseman's followed by 1. The damage dealt by the follow-up attack increases by 50%. And you get an extra. So it makes this turn from 15 to 45. So you refund a 30-year ultimate just by using it. This guy's crazy at E6. Alright. So he's crazy at E6. At E0, he seems like a good option to run with Topaz. Probably one of the better options because he seems somebody that you can reliably trigger his follow-up attack by setting stuff up, which for now I know you guys have seen me use, I've been using Kafka as the reliable trigger, which is pretty cope because Kafka's actual raw damage isn't very good. She mostly is just a DOT popper, and there's not really a whole lot of... There's not any 5-star DOT currently in the game. I brought this up in another video, saying Kafka doesn't really have a team. It's because 5-star units have higher base stats. You want high base stat value on your DOT characters, so you get higher attack. Higher attack equals more DOT applied, meaning she can pop more. So Kafka is really in a weird spot, but this looks pretty good. All right, next we get into his light cone. Increases the wearer's crit damage for 20%. For every debuff on an enemy target, the wearer's crit damage dealt against this target increases by 8%, stacking 3 times, so 24% crit damage dealt. When using ultimate to attack an enemy target, the wearer receives the disputation effect, that's a debuff, which increases damage dealt by 36% and enables their follow-up attacks to ignore 24% of the target's defense. I got the hiccups there for a second. This effect lasts for 2 turns. 24% defense ignore plus an additional crit or additional damage dealt by 36%. I feel like it's going to be worth it to just go for his light cone since, you know, you don't have to summon for him because he's free. Because this light cone specifically on him is cracked. It's a very, very cracked light cone. It could be good on other characters because it's pretty general in how it works. It just makes them, yeah, it just increases damage dealt by 36%. No, the wearer receives the disputation effect. Okay, that's not a debuff, that's just a buff. Alright, so the wearer, okay, so I read that wrong. It's still really good. It's still insanely good because I was sitting here like reading like how does the debuff apply? Then I realized it wasn't a debuff. It's still insanely good. But the follow-up attacks to ignore 24% of the target's defense is really huge, and there's only 2 hunt characters with follow-up attacks right now that come off the top of my head. And it's going to be very niche as far as the light cone goes, but light cone seems very, very strong. It seems like the way Hoyo's working it is they want people to try to go for his light cone rather than him. They're counting on you because they gave you him to go for his light cone, which obviously is 100% going to be his best in slot. Because realistically speaking, there's not a whole lot of good hunt light cones for him. That's hunt characters. We don't really care about that. Hunt light cones. I was looking, and swordplay, it's just not going to be a good option for him because he just doesn't do that many hits in a singular attack, and you might be swapping targets a good bit. So that one, I don't know. Subscribe for more. Looks like it could be decent. But it's his talent damage that you really want to buff up, so I doubt it's going to count as skill, etc. Other than that, there is basically not a whole lot going on here. I was looking, it's like Into the Night could be good. Or In the Night could be good. Sleep Like the Dead, I've seen a lot of people saying that they have it, so they're going to use it. This seems like it'd be a good option. But as far as that goes, Cruising in the Stellar Sea could be good. Topaz is one, obviously, would be good for him. But yeah, there's really not a whole lot of good hunt light cones that are like free to play. So they really, it's like, I think he's going to be good at E0, even if you have to slap some cope light cone on him. Like I said, you could slap, for example, subscribe for more on him potentially. It's like the only good one. Other than that, the BP one could be decent. Turn him into more of a supportive type build. But yeah, there's really like not a lot of good options for him. But I do think that potentially he could be, if you do get him, it could be worth it to go for his actual light cone if you don't feel like using Cruising in the Stellar Sea on him. I think Cruising in the Stellar Sea would be pretty good. But other than that, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of light cone options for him. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think he looks great. Like I said, he's free. So he's free. He's going to work really good with Topaz. I'm probably going to use Cruising in the Stellar Sea on him. I don't know if I'm going to go for his light cone yet because his light cone does look really, really damn good, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.